Hey guys, how's it going? Matt from Foulball Productions here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you're doing well because I'm doing phenomenally. Thank you so very much. This is the MFer Podcast, episode 25. A quarter of 100 of these now have come out. That's some kind of progress, I suppose. Here we are. I've got some guests today. Now, everyone, I imagine if you know me, you know Vigilante Williamson.
I would hope so.
Did the Culture Crime Fighters together for years. He's been on most every single MFer or a lot of the cocktail lounges, many of them anyway. And he's back for a one-off for now. You know, we'll see what happens. But he's here. And how are you, Mr.
I'm doing good. Some of those cocktail lounges I cannot remember, similar to you. And I think it was Nick. Shout out to Nick. Pointed out that 7 on Wednesdays was the original time for the Culture Crime Fighters, which I don't remember.
Oh, wow.
So it all comes full circle.
We had so many start times of that show.
Yeah, we did. We did like 3 different ones. So
we did. But
appreciate
thank you for joining me. I mean, when Frantic Missy told me she wanted to come on, I was like, I want Vig here to talk about it. And speaking of, we have a returning guest. Miss Frantic Missy has been on the Cocktail Lounge, if you'll recall, one late night where we got into the weeds and got into some wild shit. But she is rejoining us. Please welcome Frantic Missy. Hello.
I legitimately blacked out a bunch of that. So.
Well, you're in good company because that's pretty par for the course for that show. So yeah, that's all good. And welcome back.
It's good to see that you're doing something different. I like this. I like this setup. I've been checking out the show. Pretty impressive.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. I moved away from the Cocktail Lounge for at least a little while just to kind of free up my Friday nights and to kind of allow myself to have more time to spend time on content that I want to do, some scripted stuff. I've got new ideas and things I want to do, a different direction I want to take this channel. So I stopped doing that. But yes, so Missy, you were saying backstage. You want to tell me what you're telling? Tell them what you're telling me backstage.
That we've got lots of notes. We can cover any conspiracy that you want.
No, what you said. I didn't know. I didn't know how to phrase it. I was like, "Are you like a conspiracy theorist?" And then you had like an.
Yeah, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy analyst. Like everything that I look at is either backed up by government documents or it's got some sort of like credentials, some like weight behind it. The stuff that does not have, I mean, when it's just trying to put pieces together, it's really dangerous territory. Now, even though I like to entertain those ideas with people, like with friends and all, I don't like to speak on them publicly because I want to make sure that people get the proper information, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
The birds are not real. Birds aren't real, though, guys. 100%. Birds are not real. That's where we can start today. They're not real. That one's clear.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, everybody knows that one.
I think we actually covered that on the Culture Crime Fighters.
Did you know that the first robot ever was a steam-powered bird made by a Greek mathematician in 400 BC?
Really? No. That's a cool little fact. I did not know that.
Shit, did not know that.
I like that.
That's where it all started. It was with a bird.
You know what? That's almost a starting place. What are your thoughts on what ancient civilizations, ancient technology, like because like I've heard the Baghdad battery, and it to me I'm like, okay, I think we have undersold how technologically advanced some of those old civilizations are. What is your research? And I'm not as well researched. I mean, I have researched some theories, a lot of them, and then other ones I just whatever, wing it. I'm less professional. But like, what are your thoughts on that? On the whole ancient technology sort of thing?
Definitely, they had. I mean, like when you look at the way that the pyramid stones are placed, when you look at the stones in Cusco, in Peru, when you look at the stones even at Easter Island, when you look at what is it, Balzac? When you look at these giant, look at what's underneath the Parthenon, right? And then look at the giant dome of the Rock, right? Like when we look at these giant monoliths and megaliths all over the world, did you know that a bunch of them line up in 100-kilometer long line, the length of the equator around the Earth?
No.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I read somewhere.
The Great Pyramid is all just numbers from the circumference of the Earth. That's where the meter comes from. It's actually based on the circumference of the Earth. And the Egyptians knew that. That was the royal cubit. So yeah, they knew a lot of stuff. They weren't just moving those stones by just humans. There had to be something else. And there's proof of drills. They have these things called like lotus faces, and they're carved to a precise like 15-degree lip and all this other stuff. Like there's no way they could have just been doing that with like a rock and a chisel made out of copper, you know.
So do you have a well-formed theory on all of that? I mean, are you like
Oh,
ancient
100%.
aliens or like what's
No,
your
I don't think
opinion?
it's aliens. I just think that they're all. I mean, they're definitely all connected. That's the one thing we can prove is they're all connected because you look at the different structures. Like you look at the structures in like Luxor, Egypt, right? And then you go look at some of the stuff in Cusco, and they literally have the same matching stones, the exact formations. How? How do they know this? You know, how is it that Mohenjo-daro had the same writing as the Easter Islanders? There's a
I
lot of
don't.
weird stuff, but they
Can
were
you?
definitely all connected, and there was some sort of energy technology that we are not been able to harness, or maybe we have harnessed it, and that's what they're keeping secret from us. You know?
Are they? Did they find it in Antarctica and now they're on the moon? Is that maybe what you're
Yes,
suggesting?
definitely, because so at least someone went to the moon, right?
I had someone on this. Well, I had someone on my show a few weeks ago. This comedian Tom Siska from Austin, and he is a full-on like believer that we did go into. I'm pretty sure that's what he said to me. That we did go to Antarctica and find some kind of zero gravity technology or something like that that allowed us to go to the moon, and the Nazis are there or something like that. I could barely follow it,
Mm.
but it was pretty
It would
compelling
be
idea.
awesome if we had videotapes of that moon landing we could watch. It's unfortunate that NASA erased them all.
Isn't that interesting?
That is weird.
I
That's a
know. I
weird
can't
one.
believe this. I can't make a phone call from my backyard, right? My phone. The minute I literally step out my back door, it's like that scene from Beetlejuice where I stumble into like the netherworld where there's like my phone does not work in my backyard. But we can make a phone call from one of those 9/11 planes, and we can make a phone call from freaking the moon. So with all the technology that's in a dollar store calculator, no less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't forget the lunar rover that looks just like some fucking go-kart. Um, but back to the technology thing, I think one of my theories on it is that they have totally lied about how much travel civilizations did. So the reason certain things are the same is it may be the same civilization that did X did Y. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because I've seen different artifacts in different places. Like they have these South American artifacts where if you look at them, they look like they're Asian. It's like, well, wait, I didn't think
You
they
mean
were
like the
supposed to
Olmec
be.
heads?
I think that might be it. And so it just looks like I think that civilizations were traveling a lot more, so that's why a lot of stuff is lined up. Still doesn't explain everything, but just a little piece. That's my theory on it, at least.
Yeah,
So
someone mentioned in the chat. Sorry, Henry Sherman said there is the anti.
Antikytherian mechanism.
Yes, yes, that is a pretty interesting thing, which they uncovered relatively recently. I want to say in the past 10, 20 years, they pulled out of the ocean, and it's a really advanced, like analog computer.
Well, just look at a
That,
sextant.
yeah, sure.
There's all kinds of. I mean, see, that to me doesn't say that there's some crazy ancient technology we're not aware of. That tells me that the same technology we have now probably existed then. The technology that had to have existed to carve these stones to get these perfect symmetrical facial features in some of these statues that are in Luxor. There had to have been some sort of drilling mechanism, some sort of diamond cutting, something. There had some maybe sound operated. I do not know. What I know for a fact, though, is that there's no way that there wasn't some greater technology that we've somehow lost or is being hidden from us.
I wouldn't be surprised with that because what's the deal with like the elites and all these different societies and parts of the world where they're kind of obsessed with like Egypt and obelisks and all these symbols and
Yeah.
stuff? What's the
They,
deal with
well,
all
they
that?
took them. They took the obelisk in Rome, the obelisk in London, and the obelisk that is in Paris. All three of those were taken from Egypt and actually like voted to these different locations. Interestingly enough, America, we had our obelisk made by Robert Mills.
Who's Robert Mills?
He is one of the architects. He's one of those like Illuminati architects that specializes in matching design and Georgian design, things like that. He also designed like the church for my kids' school or whatever that I also went to. So Robert Mills is like a very interesting architect. But we built our obelisk. That's really strange, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But what's the deal with all the Egyptian shit? Why are they all obsessed with it?
Because the Egyptians, well, I mean, if you believe what the guy from Bright Insight that was on Rogan says, the the technology and the people that fled from Atlantis fled to Egypt. So that's the closest thing we have as far as like direct contact for a civilization that survived. You got to remember that the Egyptians also survived the Bronze Age collapse. So I mean, like the Hittites got taken out, the Assyrians, the Sumerians, the Greeks, the Mycenaean Greeks, everybody got wiped out. The only civilization that actually made it through that filter from, I guess, the sea peoples or whatever, it's a whole other thing, but is Egypt. Egypt is the only civilization that survived.
Okay, I'm gonna admit a lot of things are going fast. It almost feels like that one episode, one of the early Spotify episodes of Rogan. We had Alex Jones, and he's just saying a bunch of stuff. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? So I am not as well versed on the Atlantis sea people stuff at all, honestly.
The sea peoples were, and this is referenced in a bunch of stelas in Egypt. So these are like art, and there's also tablets that were found that never made it into the kiln in what is the capital of the Hittite? I can't remember what it's called, but they had a bunch of tablets that also talked about like these sea peoples coming and invading, and they just literally came out of nowhere. They don't know where they came from. To this day, we do not know what civilization they were. There are a bunch of different names on the stela in Egypt. Again, they're the only like civilization that made it out. Everybody else, there's like rock and gravel and burn like layers, and all these civilizations that I just talked about, all these major civilizations during the Bronze Age, literally all collapsed within like 72 years of each other.
Wow.
Yes.
And the theory is that the Atlanteans were the ones that like invaded and destroyed all these civilizations.
No, the Atlanteans came way before. That would come way before. The Sea Peoples just happened. They were a group of people that were roving like bandits, kind of like the Vikings or whatever, for the Bronze Age, which that would be much farther ahead than the time of Atlantis. The time of Atlantis, according to Solon, would be about 11,000, I think 11,600 years ago. So those people would have had to have refuged from Atlantis to Egypt at that time, which is interesting because when you look at the waterware on the Sphinx, which Dr. Robert Schock did a bunch of research on as a geologist, when you look at the waterware on the Sphinx and you realize that that part of the world was not a desert forever. Before that, it was green. So there was a lot of rain. The desert actually moved due to the fact that we had some sort of like shift or something within our the monsoons or whatever. So the Sahara Desert, that all used to be green. Like people used to, I mean, you'll find all kind of cave drawings and stuff in the middle of the
that
desert.
I did actually know.
Yeah. So the Atlantean people, for it to have been, the Sphinx had to have been built sometime before the Younger Dryas. It had to have been, which puts it right there in the vein of predating Göbekli Tepe. And that's why it was covered up until like recently. You know that, right? The sand.
Yeah, by the desert, right? Mm-hmm. And so like, isn't there like that theory where it's like that one? Isn't it that one guy who's arguing that the Sphinx is actually like 10,000 years older than they say it is, or something like that?
Well, it has to be because look at the waterware on it. You know, it's just that when they finally brought a geologist in instead of these Egyptologists who are very cult-like and weird with like the way that they do business. By the way, you know that the pyramids and access to them is owned by the Cairo Museum, and the Cairo Museum, guess who that's owned by? Well, the Rockefeller Foundation. So they don't want anybody getting into this stuff. Yeah, they don't want anybody looking at this stuff. There was never pharaohs buried in the Great Pyramid. That's ridiculous. They never found a single. There wasn't a single mummy in that entire freaking like structure.
What are the pyramids then?
Interesting. I mean, to me, it seems like it's some sort of like clock or some kind of warning or some sort of,
a warning.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only thing that's
of what?
A million years from now, maybe not a million, but like 300,000 years ago from now, the pyramids could probably still exist as long as their climate doesn't change. They're not going anywhere. They get a little bit of wear and tear, but I mean, they've existed since. I mean, the Sphinx had to have been around since at least like 13,000, BC, at least.
Which don't we even like aren't even now we're kind of baffled by how those rocks are moved? Like, wouldn't we have problems doing it with our modern technology?
Well, we tried. We actually had an architect. I think he's the same guy that designed the pyramid that's in the. Oh my God, my brain is just broken today. Sorry. The Paris Louvre. Yes, at the Louvre. He had a professor that worked underneath him that decided to have a bunch of college students build a pyramid. They didn't finish it. Nothing added up. They could not figure it out. Even with modern day machinery, they couldn't get it to work. So they abandoned the project. And
That's
they obviously
crazy.
didn't talk about that like in the media. They talked about the projects in the media that they were doing, but they never discussed like how they never finished it and how it fell apart within like I think 6 or 7 months.
That's an insane reality. Like, we can't move those rocks now.
Yes, with like cranes and
You know
stuff.
what I mean? We've
Especially
been to
the one
the
like
fucking
Balzac.
moon. Was that?
The one in Balzac and the one that's underneath the Pantheon or whatever. There's no way in hell. And if you'll notice, the Great Pyramid also sits on a giant set of rocks that are way bigger than the ones that the pyramid stones. Why isn't anyone asking what it took to get those moved there? No one even thinks about it.
They use sound to move them. Is that a real theory, or is he just fucking with us?
Well, I mean, they use sound to move stuff now. You know,
Wait,
What do you mean?
Water, things like that. I mean,
You
for
mean like
example-
emotions? Like when you have like a really good song, like it moves you?
No, like for example, my phone. If I get water in my phone, there's a YouTube app I can run that'll get all the water out of my phone. It moves water. You can move. Yeah, sound makes air. You know, if you're in front of a speaker, you feel that, right? So
Yeah,
it makes
sure.
you think that with a large amount of it, right? And it's shame in that direction, considering they're not really studying sound moving things as much as they probably should, right? Think about how much power you could probably get out of that with the right mechanisms and with the right power. You know,
But wouldn't
there's
that,
something we've lost.
I mean, here's actually something that's kind of interesting. I saw this video like a while ago, and it's just like it really. I thought it was pretty fascinating because it kind of does show like the power of sound. I'll probably just mute it, but here like they show like different sound waves and like the way it moves.
Yeah, they
Like the
move.
sand
Water
in
makes
different ways.
Yeah, water makes shapes too with sound.
It's so fascinating. Like it literally moves it.
Yeah.
And then you think about like our bodies being what, like 90% water or whatever, like sound literally moves your molecules and like the water inside of you, which is that's pretty wild.
I can't help but to think, and I think it was actually the Rockefellers that proposed this. You know, the whole music scale, I'm sure you know, but the whole
When
music
we
scale's
change
off.
the hertz.
Yeah, this hertz. It should be tuned to 432 hertz for A instead of 440, which it is. So it's dissonant to us. The music that we've heard past 120 years or whenever since they did it, and I want to say it was the Rockefellers who were responsible for that.
Wait, can you? I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
All the music, every note that you've ever heard is technically tuned wrong. Everything should be tuned to 432 hertz as far as A, the letter note A, and the scale up. Everything should be tuned 8 hertz lower than it is.
Why?
And if you look at the music industry, there's a definitive line where they actually changed the hertz of the music that they were putting out from the music industry. Even more interesting, if you write this down, the Schumann resonance, and there's actually a Schumann resonance bot on Twitter you can check out that gives you an updated chart from every single day. The Earth has a hertz; it has a sound. Every planet makes a sound. Saturn sounds like screaming. Yeah, you want to get freaked out? Pull up what Saturn sounds like. But all the planets emit a certain sound. Earth like sounds like a whole bunch of people. It's really kind of crazy. Saturn sounds like demons screaming in hell. But we have the thing called the Schumann resonance, and it actually moves. Well, yeah, it is a can of worms.
Wait,
but
now I want to know what Saturn sounds like. Hold on.
Oh,
I need to
awful.
find this out. But also I want to know, okay, so all the music's wrong and the Rockefellers did it. Why? Why would they do that?
Because you got to remember, again, sound. I mean, they use sound to torture people.
This is. Whoa, that's pretty wild.
Yes.
Saturn itself is when I say it's a can of worms, there's the fact that all these societies worship Saturn. There's the fact that this is NASA confirmed. Speaking of confirm, that they saw ships on the rings of Saturn making the rings.
And now they say the rings are deteriorating.
Yeah.
Wait,
and then there's the black cube of Saturn.
It's just so much getting thrown at me. Okay, pause Saturn.
Yeah.
What is the deal with the music thing? Why would that be? Why would they do that? Like what's the most cynical take on that?
I think your guess is as good as mine, except for that it's psychological warfare.
That's the only guess that anyone could think is psychological warfare, or just because the hertz is tuned to now is slightly dissonant, and it's supposedly.
What does that mean?
You see how all those different hertz have a different function on the cells. The idea is the hertz that we're currently tuned to somehow just hurt us, just hurt our general well-being. another contributor to making us sick. Which again, I don't know. Can't talk about everything on this, but on this, we'll wait to Rumble to get some of that.
Well, there's a reason that you say noise pollution. You know?
Yeah. So just to be assholes, basically.
You ever had a mockingbird outside your window? Not fun. Like, we had one that was imitating car alarm noises. Oh my God! I was like, I'll kill a mockingbird right now. I thought about it. I really did, because it would start making car alarm noises at like 4:30 in the morning every morning and wake me up, right? But that's sound pollution. It's noise pollution, right? That disrupts my sleep. It disrupts my day, right? It disrupts my mood. Sound can be used to manipulate people, and that's a perfect example of it. And that's a natural sound that can be used to manipulate people. And when you look at the CIA, they did all these studies where they put people into cells and used sound to torture them. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I believe that. I mean, I remember I had a woman, a homeless woman, in the lot next to my house in Los Angeles. I had an apartment there, and then there was an abandoned apartment complex next door, and there was a homeless woman who just camped out front. And all day and all night, I would hear this. It was so insane. Like, I was snapping because I would wake up in the middle of the night and hear it. I had to blast white noise in my house so that I could sleep. It was the most disgusting.
I just gagged.
It was so gross. It was so disgusting. And like that's just a sound. You know what I mean? That was just a sound. It was like cut through me. It was the worst. Oh, awful. LA's a shithole. But yeah, I can understand how sound could be used for torture.
City of Angels.
That's what that felt like. Ooh, Jake Diesel.
Angels.
Jake D in the house. What up, homie? For $50. Thank you, Jake. You're the man. Little cheddar because you're taking some of my favorite topics. Great to see you here, Vig. Miss you, buddy.
Yeah, miss you too, man.
Hell yeah, Jake D. You're the fucking man, dude. Thank you so much. That's cool. I'm glad you guys are interested in this. Like, the chat is actually like, pretty lively, pretty lit, talking about all this stuff, which is pretty cool. That's fun. I like that people are engaged with all this stuff. I don't dabble in too much of this, but I do find it fascinating. I am curious, like the pyramids too. I want to know, there's never been pharaohs. Did you ever see that image where it's like they kind of show that they're like giant obelisks that go down like into the earth? It's not like, it's just like a theory. But is there anything to that, or is there any like I'm just so curious? Is like, well, what are the pyramids if they're not tombs? What are they?
We know that there are cavities underneath the Great Pyramid of I think it's my brain just broke. Khufu, whatever. Anyways, there's big like holes underneath it that they've gotten through with sonar testing or whatever. But the Egyptian government won't let them, or excuse me, the Cairo Museum too will not let them study these areas. I mean, they had one where they found a shaft in the Great Pyramid that was new, and they found it like 20 years ago, and they just finally like got to go explore this shaft, and they got to it, and they went through it, and then they came to a door, and they still haven't looked behind the door yet. So
still,
it's so
20 years later.
Well, yeah. Again, when we talk about this, like there's something about the pyramids they do not want us to know.
That's interesting.
Power plants? Question mark.
But then there is this kind of obsession with ancient Egypt, and what's it like, the Eye of Horus, like that's like one of those like infamous, Illuminati's. Yeah, all those things.
Illuminati symbol. Quote.
It's actually another satanic symbolistic thing. So
I remember one day, I think it was Adventure Time. I was just flipping TV, and I just popped on Adventure Time, and they're like, "Oh my God, an Egyptian symbol!" And it was the Eye of Horus. I was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!"
Illuminati confirmed.
Oh, what's really creepy is what's that show? With the two little kids that their uncle's a conspiracy guy and they live in the woods.
Oh, Gravity Falls.
Gravity Falls. Okay, so the bad guy in Gravity Falls, that triangle that walks around with the arms, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is an exact representation of Tanit, which is one of the gods of Carthage, which came from the Phoenicians, and that was one of the gods that they sacrificed their babies to. So, good job, Disney.
Golly,
Disney does a lot of stuff, man. Owl House is another cartoon that deals with like witchcraft and stuff.
Oh, and then we have Dan Schneider at Nickelodeon.
Oh shit.
And there was all the sex in the Disney movies and the posters and all that stuff, and they played it up as like, oh, it was just some rogue animator who just like was like just on his own, like angry, disgruntled employee. Like, oh yeah,
Spiridola too. Where you see like faces in the clouds and all. Like people, when you're looking for something, a lot of times if you keep looking hard enough, you'll find it.
Some of the Disney stuff is confirmed. There's that penis on the Little Mermaid's castle that is a penis.
That's a dick.
And then there's sex.
Also, the hard priest. Like
Oh,
that
yeah.
one. That one's pretty blatant. And then it does say sex in the stars in Aladdin.
No, that was
Like
it
Lion
wasn't
King.
Aladdin. It was Lion King. Yeah.
Oh, Lion King. Oh, okay. Yeah, see, I don't even know.
One of
But
those movies.
Sentient Dildo says pyramids are not tombs. You can't trust anything those pseudoscientists called Egyptologists say. Bunch of scammers.
They're
This is all
creepy
new to
looking
me.
too. They all look like Skeletor. Like they're all these really old like French guys, and they're not nice. Yeah,
This is so fascinating. I didn't know that. I'd never
Yeah.
heard any of this.
What
it's a
about
very closed field. Like they think that they're special. They're snobs.
what about the theory that the pyramids are like have like a spiritual thing? Like they either are a portal to another, to potentially the spirit world or something like that.
Well, see, that's the thing is when you were talking, when we were first talking like a little while ago, you were mentioning how you felt like there are things that may have traveled here, blah blah blah. Like, I don't think that we have stuff that's traveled here from like other like galaxies.
I didn't
or
mean
whatever.
travel. I meant us. Like humans moved over. So one society did multiple things, or multiple,
yeah,
that
yeah.
sort of thing.
I would, for
Not
some
that.
reason, I was taking it as you like trying to say that there was some sort of, ancient civilization connected to some sort of alien, whatever.
That's
But
what
at the end of the
I'm
day,
saying.
like I don't think that we've got things that come from outside of our galaxy or whatever to come here. I think
Mhm.
it's interdimensional travel. That we're
Well, I wouldn't
discussing.
even say galaxy. I didn't even right there. I mean, like spirit. When I say the spirit world, like
I think it's interdimensionality in
yeah,
multiple
more
verses.
interdimensional.
That's what I think
It would still be on the plane of Earth, whatever
That's
this Earth is, but it's not what we can see and experience. It's a different dimension, like you would say, interdimensional. So no, I'm actually on the same page with you. That's what I mean. Do you believe in that? And so you kind of confirmed it.
Oh, I do. I 100% believe in interdimensional beings. I know.
Zach
I
says-
sound more like Alex Jones. I guess I am the female Alex Jones, but I really do believe in interdimensional beings. And here's why: because I was a paranormal investigator for like 3.5, almost 4 years in Florida,
Mhm.
right? And I've seen some things that I can't explain. Most of the time, like I took joy in giving people their home back by proving to them that it's not haunted. I enjoyed not finding ghosts, you know. But there were things that I can't explain. And then, when I think about ghosts and I think about, how time works, and now there's a theory that, and I think it's going to be what's going to be taught to my grandkids, that all time is happening at the same time, and it's not a forward moving linear concept like we think it is, just due to our subjectivity. So if all time's happening at the same time, then when we're encountering ghosts, we're not even encountering a dead person. We're encountering someone who's alive still.
Is it a glitch in
No.
the Matrix?
I think trauma. I think there has to be, from what I've studied in my cases that I looked at, and again, like when there's no like research by a university, because I don't know, Peter Venkman lost his funding, right? The best way for you to like find out what the facts are is do exactly what the police do, where you take statements. I take anecdotal evidence, and I've taken like over 4,000 like anecdotal evidential cases and put them into spreadsheets, and like I keep track of like what things have in common. And what I found is there are certain characteristic traits when it comes to ghosts, and there's different kinds that do different things. When it comes to seeing a full body apparition, that means someone who is in period clothing, right? That for some reason doesn't date back more than 600 years. I mean, Socrates is the first ghost, and Socrates' ghost isn't around anymore. A lot of times, like the oldest ghosts that have been seen are like the latest is like the 1500s.
But maybe they found their sixth sense kid, and then they've carried on to the next dimension.
Oh no, here's what it is.
It could be.
It's trauma that bleeds the third and fourth dimension. The fourth dimension being time. They do not change locations. They're in the same place. Right. This is a former home of theirs, right? Or a former, they lived there before. And there have been anecdotal evidence of people that have I get so excited. People that have walked directly into hospital scenes, watching someone get their leg amputated, right? So what we're talking about is a bleed between the third and the fourth dimension. And there has to be trauma on both sides, okay? And that somehow that trauma like causes the fake, Matrix.
You're about to make Interstellar plausible, by the way.
That movie stinks.
But go ahead.
The Matrix, like this filter of what we see around us in this current time that we consider our time, right?
Mhm.
That is not all real. It's all matter. So if you have someone who's died in a house, right, and they walk into their house having stuff moved in it, and they're like, who the hell are you, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are going to react angrily, or they're going to react like they're sad, or they're going to react like they're scared of you. The same reaction that we humans would make if we were in that position. I don't think they're dead people. I think that they're alive people, and I think that's why they can have interactions.
So just to confirm, in your theory, which I'm not dismissing, I'm just trying to get thing. When you see a ghost, that guy is like someone from like 500 years ago who sees a you, like,
Yeah.
and you guys are having this shared experience of like, what the fuck is that?
Wait, but then how come we've never seen future ghosts?
How do we know that we haven't?
Well, I mean, have you ever taken an account of one?
What if aliens are future ghosts?
Oh shit, mind blown.
Okay, yeah, that seems like a fair. But I'm saying you said like we always see ghosts from like 400 years ago. Or, well, how come? If
No,
then why isn't there?
the oldest. So, like for example, like the oldest current ghost stories that's happened in like the last like 50 years. The oldest person that they claimed was the dead person was like from the 1500s.
Okay,
Yeah,
but like
for
wouldn't
some
that
reason, they
1500s
can't-
person see like a 2020 person and be like, "Yo, what's with
I'm
that?"
sure that would be a very stressful situation for both parties. Again, there has to be trauma on both sides. You know, and I think they're definitely messing around with this stuff. There's something called Operation Looking Glass, where they're doing remote viewing. They've got, you know, they're working on quantum computers. You know, they're working on Neuralink, and we know that they're doing all kinds of weird stuff with CERN. So, I mean,
CERN's a weird one. See, like CERN, like I loved, you know, sometimes
they're
I
trying to
like
time travel.
theories. Sometimes sometimes I just like those theories just 'cause I think it's fun. Like I like the idea that we skip dimensions, like when they turned on CERN, and that's why we got Trump, which I think that's so funny. But it's just kind of like what the ceremony that they had when they did CERN. I
Holy
was like,
shit, that's weird.
what the fuck is that?
it
Why
was
is that the
very
ceremony?
Saturnic.
Yes.
Yes, Saturnians.
Yeah, it was really bizarre and creepy and unsettling. And I'm like, this is a scientific thing, right? Like, what's the
Can we even trust the scientists? Because last time I checked, a bunch of them keep getting arrested for doing business with China at Harvard and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I certainly don't. Because I was told I had to, which I was like, all right, well, as soon as you tell me I'm forced to do something, I'm immediately not going to do it.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out of my way to make sure that you know that I did not do it.
Unrelated to anything, is that Prime and is it good? Because I actually just got
Yes,
it. I haven't
yeah.
got it yet.
What is that?
It's
That's
Prime.
Logan Paul's
It's
drink.
the punch one, yeah.
What is it? Is it an energy drink?
It's Logan Paul's like you know,
Oh, is it-
recovery drinks or whatever.
Oh, so it's like after workout or after getting
After
blackout?
workout, yeah, or after, you know, putting together furniture like I've been doing in my garage.
Oh, okay. Okay. Huh. All right, that's new to me. I didn't know that. Does it help with hangovers?
Yes, very much so.
Okay. I could have used that this morning because I found a new show and I was up all night. I'm now currently
What
obsessed
show?
with Deadwood.
Oh, yeah, everybody keeps talking about that. See,
I've never seen
have
it.
TV, so I mean, I have a TV, but I don't have, you know, TV.
I've never
had
seen it. I
2013.
saw a video from Razor Fist, and he was talking all about westerns, and he said Deadwood's like one of the greatest westerns like ever, like including the classics in this. And I was like, for real? Okay. And so I was just like, all right, I'll put it on, and I almost immediately loved it. So I don't know, I watched like 3 or 4 episodes last night. Went to bed like real late. But yeah, it's fucking rad. Not that we're talking about TV today. Today we're talking conspiracy theories.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Do you have any that are like widely held that are just flat out bullshit?
I think the chemtrails were stupid.
Yeah, that one. No one even says
Well, I mean,
that one anymore. do
well,
they?
think about it like that. If it's these elites, right, or lizard people, whatever you want to call them, these reptilian brain, you know, not empathy, you know, beings, creatures that are all having sex with their cousins. These people, they would also be poisoning themselves if they were spraying this guy. So it doesn't make any sense, right? Why would they poison themselves too?
Unless they're
Well, because they're lizards
Paradise-
and they have different glands.
Paradise, California is a really good example of how they don't necessarily have to poison or destroy an area I mean, that just doesn't make any sense.
I don't know
Now
what
what-
Paradise, California is.
Paradise, California is where they had that fire, and literally they had that horrific video of all the people in the cars because like half the town died because they're like
Oh,
in the
no.
road and like literally the backdraft went across the cars, like
No,
the fire
this is all new
tornadoes
to
and
me.
stuff. Yeah, it was really crazy. Paradise, California is very interesting. You need to look deeper into that one. There's a lot of weird theories about what happened there, but also East Palestine, right?
Is that where
That's
the
a good
train crash
example of
was?
how you can have a small disaster and poison a bunch of people. You don't have to do it in the sky. It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they got away
What
with
if
that
they-
completely.
What if they just targeted certain areas?
I think that they do.
But
I think they
talking
do
about
target
chemtrails,
certain
just to
areas.
toss that back out there.
For what? For what purpose?
Well, chemtrails are everywhere though. They're all over the world. So you know, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
they couldn't
Now-
keep it
now-
localized to one area. It would just spread out and they fuck
But
themselves.
why
Exactly.
you think they do target areas with disasters? Why, Missy? Why do they do that?
Because I think it makes a great distraction area. You know, why waste a perfectly good crisis scenario? You know,
There's
been a lot of look
read,
here, not here going on. Like a lot of sleight of hand in the last like
Yeah.
couple years. You know, it's very much like you know something bad, something's crazy is going on, like with the documents or something's being released in Washington or they're passing a law on something weird. Whenever all of a sudden the news is covered in like shootings and balloons and train derailments and planes running into chicken coops, just all that craziness.
Jeez, I
like
didn't see it.
oh god, there's been all this weird like food factories like and
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That's
processing plants.
crazy.
Dude,
That's
that's a weird
food
one.
practice.
Two planes fell and hit like processing plants. Like that's insane.
That is really
What are the
wild.
chances of that? I want a mathematician to crunch the numbers for me.
There's,
That's insane.
it's a coincidence. What are you talking about?
There are no coincidences.
I mean, the most famous look here, not there, was the Johnny Depp Maxwell co-trial, where they're both happening at the same time. One gets all this attention. This other person gets 20 years for trafficking to nobody.
They do this all the
apparently.
time. They do this all the time. Don't forget that Ghislaine Maxwell also had a submarine license. So if people think that Epstein's Island is the only island out there, they've lost their damn mind.
She had a
like
submarine
that Telma Juarez.
license.
Oh yeah, she had a submarine license.
How the hell do you even get a submarine license? I didn't know that was a thing.
I don't
you
know.
could
I mean,
acquire.
last I checked, her father was Robert Maxwell.
Yeah,
right?
I got a tank. I got a tank license. I had to jump through some hoops, but I got my tank.
Who was the last like military group that we beat in a war that really liked submarines?
The Germans.
So Yahtzee stuff?
So these super rich assholes, they don't just have like jets, right? And baby blood. Now they got submarines. So that's just great.
We are still on YouTube. Just remember with the
Sorry.
baby blood.
Yeah.
We got
It was
40
a joke. I'm not
20,
funny.
23 minutes, and then we can get real wild.
Well, maybe
but,
this is YouTube friendly. I know we're jumping everywhere, but then when you think of submarine, what do you know about the hollow earth and that sort of business?
That bird stuff is also bullshit. Sorry.
Well, not necessarily hollow, or maybe hollow earth is not the right thing. Underground bunker. What about
I believe that
stuff?
the earth is a bagel. It is both hollow and round
Is that just a joke? Or are you serious?
and flat.
Oh, okay. Wait, do you think the Earth's flat?
I don't know. I don't think we went to the moon.
That I'm with you on. I don't know about the.
Well, because
Yeah,
it
full of
gets
crap.
weird where you're like, we can't photograph like the site. You're like, you can't.
We lost all. We erased all of the video.
Also, that lots of suspicious things with that whole moon landing. Where it's like, I don't want to believe it didn't happen. I want to believe it did happen, but it's just kind of like you're like, you keep making me ask these questions. You know what I mean? Like, stop being
Neil
so
A.
fucking weird.
Neil A.
What?
spelled backwards is alien.
Ah,
Oh shit!
I just thought that was
Okay.
stupid.
yeah. Earth is not flat. Don't be retarded, says Sentient Dildo. Okay, well, you know what? I don't want to be retarded.
The
Sentient
earth
Dildo
is
said
not
it.
flat, but I don't think we went to the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think the Earth's flat either. But it's like, why would this be? Why would it be flat? Like everything else in like if you just see water in 0 G, it just immediately turns into a ball. So the Earth doesn't? Come on.
I don't know. I just treat them like I treat the left. I just let them think whatever they want to think and like try my own business.
Totally.
Like,
Oh, I don't.
although sometimes I'll go into like a Twitter space and just throw the word like flat Earth out there and just leave.
Bro, flat earthers get crazy if you do not agree.
They get
Oh
crazy.
shit, we're not even supposed to say that here.
I know you're not, especially like 4 times in a row. It's like
sorry.
like the boogeyman. We just
I'm
summoned
a
like
I'm a girther, I believe.
what was it,
in
the
gore.
Candyman? Is that the one where you say it in the mirror?
3 times.
We just said it 3 times now,
Beetlejuice.
and now a
Never
warning's
Beetlejuice.
going to appear under the under.
Yeah, that's the See, that's the shit that gets me. That they're so weird about it. Like, why?
They run. Rumble's gonna like lap them very quickly.
We'll see.
And so, well, go look at what everything that's recommended to you when you go to YouTube, right? When you pull it up and it says for you, it's all kids stuff. It's all like crap.
I do have to do not.
I have to go
recommend
through my
channel a lot.
subscriptions to find anything decent. You know, if I just
I
want
don't-
to like, turn on
my
something to
YouTube is
watch.
pretty good.
Rumble
I mean,
is easy.
If I go to my YouTube homepage, I'm not trying to be a simp for YouTube, but if I go to my YouTube homepage, I have this show, which is a
Remember
terrific
Mr. Beast?
recommendation.
There you
I
go.
got something from Vigilante Williamson. I got an Opie and Anthony. I've got Louis J. Gomez. I got Kerry Smith. That's all the things I like. Gillian Keeves.
You got to train
or
your
July.
YouTube though, man. Because I just started a new channel, and so when I'm on that one, it's just nothing but bullshit. But when I'm on my regular one, it's the stuff I normally, even though my regular one I don't use the channel, but like it's the
still
stuff
the
I normally
algorithm
watch.
still got messed up. It's still like it used to be. You could like every single video was one that you could not skip. You know, now it's like you got to scroll for a while.
What I don't understand is like why. I mean, I know this is like a stupid thing to say out loud, but I just don't know why YouTube feels like they need to get rid of, especially like conspiracy theory shit. Like, who fucking cares?
Because
like,
they're an alphabet agency.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was a big revelation with Epstein.
The alphabet company, right?
Oh yeah,
And they're obsessed with the alphabet people. And the alphabet, they're part of the alphabet freaking agencies. I mean, alphabet.
But speaking of that, when the Epstein thing, like some of that, like contacts, like he had direct contact with like the head of the CIA or something like that. I was like, oh, that's it. What an
I liked
interesting
his picture of
revelation.
Bill Clinton.
Yep, that was good. That was solid.
And then there was one of George Bush where he was like playing with toy planes in a tower. You see that painting? Yes.
I did see that one. Yep.
Freaking weird, dude.
Yep. Henry Sherman's got a question for you, Missy.
Sure.
He says, what are your thoughts on the latest article from the Wall Street Journal revealed about Steen's, so to say, meeting schedule with intelligence? Oh, is this Epstein? Meeting schedule with intelligence officials lending more credence he was an intelligence asset. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about.
Yeah. That thing was the weirdest thing because, like, that
Of course,
is
he met with intelligence officials.
So I had heard about that whole theory like 2 or 3 years before it broke, and didn't buy it because it was so. My mind got blown. Right, that theory and that Steen thing being a real thing was why I became.
I call him Eggstein. Do you know the only person that ever submitted like an FBI like affidavit against him? You know who that was, right? Against Epstein, it was Trump. He had a maid at his Mar-a-Lago resort or whatever, or estate. That their 14-year-old daughter got molested by him, and he went to the FBI and filed a report. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that like years ago.
He's the
he
only
was
one.
like that. He's like, that guy's a creep. Like he doesn't want to do anything to do with him. He's like, fuck that.
Elon
guy.
Musk,
Like,
but he tried to lure Elon Musk down there too. But again, like I said, like if you guys think that that's the only island, you've lost your damn mind. It's like the tunnel is in Juarez. You know, the one that we found is the one they wanted us to find.
Huh. Jesus.
And I don't think he's the only. You know, Epstein's just a guy. They have a bunch of those.
Well, there's a whole bunch of CIA strongholds all over the world. You got the Solomon Islands, Malaysia.
Shit.
You got North Korea, obviously Ukraine, parts of Argentina.
Did you hear about? Oh shit! I forgot where the guy died. One of those crypto guys. I think it was Puerto Rico or something like that, or maybe Dominican Republic.
He was
said
murdered.
Yeah. Well, allegedly.
There's a bunch of
I don't
crypto
wanna-
guys, a bunch of crypto billionaires
yeah.
get knocked out. Like I think it's like up to 5 now.
5 or 6 of them.
Yeah,
I was looking for them.
Oh yeah, they just started dropping dead. Those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, it just happens.
You know,
But he said
Cash App's a great app.
I was just gonna say and I never got into that story. That was one of those things I always wanted to talk about and never got around to. But like, what was the deal with that? Like who killed him? Wasn't his wife's brother or some shit?
Who the guy that
The Cash App guy.
Oh no, he got stabbed in broad daylight by a rando.
No, it wasn't a rando. The guy got arrested.
It was a rando.
No. That got followed up. Like it was like there was a whole thing with it. Like his brother. It was like I think it was his wife's brother.
Weird.
Yeah, like there was this whole.
I never see that.
Yeah, Cash App founder Bob Lee knew the suspect in his stabbing. Police say.
Huh.
Yeah, San Francisco police have arrested Nima.
I'm still gonna make those inappropriate jokes about San Francisco, anyways. Though.
Yeah, no, I was like a little bit like, well, it still sucks there, but Nima Momeni, in connection with the murder of Cash App founder Bob Lee, this is a 38-year-old man from Emeryville, California. Scott said Momeni and Lee knew one another, but didn't provide further details. It was something. Yeah, it wasn't like just some random homeless guy. It was like a legit like murder. It
wasn't like Paul Pelosi, right? There was definitely a motive.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that was a fun one too.
You know, their initials are DD and PP. I just want to say.
DD, and she does have some big heavies. I mean, let's be honest. You know.
I just love how, like, a couple years ago, you guys remember the big talk about the border, right? When Trump was talking about he was going to build the wall or whatever. Everyone kept bringing up the fact that Nancy Pelosi lives in this estate, right, in San Francisco, and she's got a wall around her house. Remember all that?
Yeah.
I wonder what the Capitol Police were doing while his house got, invaded,
broken into.
Yeah, and also, did you know there was a kid in the car with him when he got that DUI?
No, I did not know that. Oh, that's
Yeah.
weird. That wasn't mentioned.
Yeah,
I feel like if that was a Republican, we would have heard about that for months.
probably.
Probably. Okay, so let's. You showed us like that stack of journals.
Yeah.
What are some ones that are pretty interesting that no one's talking about or you don't hear much about?
The baby incubators, all the
Baby-
crazy connections. Yeah. Okay. For example, it's not for example. It's this the thing. Remember the reason that we got into the Gulf War was because of a Kuwaiti girl saying that they were
I remember
knocking kids
hearing
out of
that story.
incubators. Did you see the story recently with the Sudan? What they said was happening there. They were having babies that were being thrown out of incubators. And then the first movie ever made was a movie about the Cabbage Patch Fairy, right? And she was rough on these babies too. And that was an advertisement for the Columbia Exposition, which is the Chicago World's Fair. Baby incubators used to actually be a sideshow. People used to go and view babies in incubators as entertainment, like on the boardwalk in freaking Atlantic City and at the freaking World's Fair.
With the incubator just to keep, isn't that for like newborn or preemies or something like that to keep them alive?
It's for preemie babies, babies that are born premature. What's really interesting though is the fact that we have this push in America for these late term abortions, right? And then there's all this stuff where they've been messing around with baby incubators for a long time. And you got to start asking yourself a question like, why are these baby incubators a reason to have the start of a war? There's something more to that.
So, well, real quick,
I don't get it. Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to ask a follow-up question, but if I'm correct, and you can correct anyone in the chat, or you can correct me if I'm wrong, that story was fabricated. That initial Gulf War story.
It was completely fabricated.
Yeah,
That's
like the person, the young girl was like a diplomat's daughter or something, if I remember correctly.
It was a false flag.
Okay. So what? But now the baby incubators, there's a connection missing. I think I got where the connection is, but you're talking about late-term abortions.
It's not just that. Almost all wars that we've had in the last 100 years or whatever, all of them have some sort of propaganda or some sort of link to babies dying. For example, in Lusitania, there's all this propagandistic. You can just look them up. These posters are super fascinating. For the Lusitania to tell people to enter the war because they were in World War I. Lusitania was sunk. I think that they were trying to bring us into America into the war with Britain. Winston Churchill, who's the head of the Admiralty, he knew where the U-boat was. He knew how many torpedoes he had left because they were tracking it, and they had an office right down the hall from him that was intercepting all of their communications. So he knew exactly where. And they moved the route of the Lusitania. It sank in 20 minutes. 20 minutes. But all the propaganda from it were like babies underwater, like babies dying babies. It's really weird.
This guy's got like a baby on his back.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of weird stuff with these dead babies.
Huh. I guess that just
Or
pulls on
barely
people's
alive
heartstrings. It pulls on people's heartstrings.
Is it some Molech Baal business?
Could be, but I mean, yeah, I really do think. I mean, yes, I think it is connected to. I'm trying to watch my words to make sure I don't word things incorrectly.
12 more minutes.
Yes. Well, I mean, look at Bohemian Grove, right? That video that was shot in Bohemian Grove. Now, what that is it's called something called the cremation of care ceremony. And it is where they, through instructions, thank you, Walter Cronkite, by the way, for doing the voiceover. They instruct you to put your cares and your guilt and your worries onto the effigy, hopefully, of a child that they burn in front of the owl god Moloch. And that way they don't have to feel guilty for the bad things that they do.
Sheesh.
Yes.
Is that like a Kuna Matata?
It's child sacrifice.
Means no worries for the rest of your... Oh, okay.
You kind of hit on something, Matt, joking. Like, they do put little concepts in our little songs and in our little things. So you're like, oh, no worries. That sounds nice. Not knowing it's really connected to some old crazy demon shit.
Yeah, in reality, we know exactly what Nala and Simba were up to. We know they were related, so... Ugh.
But doesn't the human conscience still exist? Like, how can you, like...
Of course it does.
So you just, like, I did a little fire thing. I don't feel guilty about that guy I killed anymore. Like, is that how that works?
You're assuming that these people are like you or like me. They're nothing like us.
They're lizards. That's right.
They're not lizard people. That's not even it. There's something where they lack empathy, like where
Just
the reptilian part of their brain.
Psychopaths.
Yes, because I mean, look at Saddam Hussein's sons, right?
Yeah, Uday and.
When you have that kind of money and that kind of power, it raises some really scary young men.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sure.
I'm just saying, like, there's something to. They also send their kids off to boarding school. It's a weird tradition among these elite families, and I thought it was just a like British aristocracy thing. And then I found out, like, through doing research, that it's all over the world. And it's not just that. I mean, Justin Trudeau got punched in the face by Matthew Perry when they were 7 years old. Justin Trudeau was a little bit younger than him. This is according to a story that he told on the Tonight Show. Matthew Perry punched Justin Trudeau in the face when Justin Trudeau was 5 and he was 7 years old, while they were at boarding school.
That is a weird coincidence. I think I've mentioned this several times, but I used to live in LA and I would do
Go to boarding
events.
schools.
Yeah, I used to do events at certain people's houses or whatever, and I did an event at this guy's house, and he has started one of the biggest talent agencies in the world, and like CAA, he founded it. And in his kitchen, there's a bunch of pictures, family pictures, this, that, and the other, with him with movie stars and stuff. There was a picture of him at the CIA standing on the Great Seal. And I was just like, yo, that's fucked up, dude.
Well, the
Like,
Great Seal is also some more Saturnic symbolism.
Really?
Yes, you really need to look into that one. David Icke's got a really good video. I can actually send it to you. I have a playlist on here called the Tinfoil Hat Ronin Ruins Research or whatever, and I got like 500 something videos, and it's all like this kind of stuff. It's things like a guy named Galen Windsor in the 1980s talking about how he's the guy that designed the nuclear power plants, and how nuclear heavy water and all is not even toxic, and how he used to go swimming in the heavy water. And he used to hide plutonium underneath his floorboards. The FBI would come tear up his floorboards so his wife could get new floors, stuff like that. Very interesting. Yeah, like interviews in like the 1980s. I've got all kinds of like cool little neat things, videos in there available.
Interesting. I wanted to make
I'll give it to you so you can pen it for everybody if they want to, you know?
Okay, yeah, sure. As well, let everyone know at 1 hour, we're going to keep going, but we're going to Rumble exclusive. So you got another like 8 minutes or so of this on YouTube only. And then we're going off YouTube. We're going to Rumble. Just click on for the Rumble. I'll put the link in the chat. I'll put it in now, actually, if you want to start migrating, to make it easy to
We're
make it
on
smooth.
Rumble now, though, right?
We are on Rumble now.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, so you can
We're
just
going to
start
exclusively to Rumble so we can bust out all the really crazy stuff.
Exactly. So we don't have to worry about YouTube looking over our shoulders.
And I know I've been skipping all over the place. There literally, I mean, I did a space in Twitter. We did a Twitter space. It's me and my friend Nikki and my friend Ash and my friend Hippie. It was called, #PsyOps. And we were in there for 5 days, alternating co-hosts and like taking naps and all, while we just covered a bunch of stuff and recorded it,
Wow.
We had we're like 1,000 people come in and out and like talk
Does it ever get to you? Do you ever get like bogged down by it or upset by it?
I used to. I mean, like, especially when you're digging into like the child sacrifice stuff and the really crazy like satanic, ritualistic stuff, and just any of the crimes against kids and like even like the most subversive one, like talking about these batteries that they're making the cobalt out of, in Africa, like that alone just makes you sick to your stomach. Mm-hmm. And I used to get upset about it, but now I'm like I've come up with this term. I'm like, I'm white pilled, like people get black pilled and they're like everything's screwed, like there's no point of even trying. Why vote? I'm white pilled. Like I'm the step beyond that, where I realize that all this stuff is happening. There's absolutely nothing I can do to fix anything other than talk about it, and that's my contribution, and that has to be enough. You can't make yourself crazy with these things. But it's like a chair in my living room. Sometimes I sit in it, sometimes I don't, but I get to choose.
I think that's great. I think it's a great philosophy, a great perspective, because I used to be kind of obsessed with it, and I used to go down like rabbit holes, and it'd be like something I would do all day, like a binge or whatever.
It's not. I've been through that period too.
It's like any other addiction, if it was you drinking, till 4 o'clock in the morning, like how did it become 4 in the morning? You would have a problem. People would be worried about you.
I agree.
That's true for this information.
Behavior like that. That's like crazy.
Just Tuesday from that.
Seek help. Yeah, that's exactly what I did last night. I couldn't stop watching Deadwood. It's so good.
Sleeps for bitches. Don't worry. Quitters sleep.
Quitters sleep. Real quick, Henry talked about what is now become kind of a mainstream con theory about the sacrifice. When I say mainstream, there are channels with like hundreds of thousands of subs. All they do is talk about celebrity sacrifice now. So it's become more of a...
because it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's that predominant. It's that prevalent in our society that we can't get away from not talking about it. Also, don't you think it's interesting that Travis Scott Sounds just like Tavistock.
Holy
What's-
shit! I didn't
what's
even think about
Tavistock?
that.
What is
There's
that?
this evil organization, British. I know they
Well,
create the Beatles and a bunch
Yes,
of shit.
correct. They're the ones that are doing like all the surgeries on the kids and all. Listen though, here's the cool thing about the Travis Scott thing. There was 8 people, right? That was Chris Jenner's birthday, right?
Was
and she
it?
got
That's
8
weird.
grandkids. And then there's like that weird portal that they had, but the really creepy thing was how he was up on that platform and singing in that guttural, like, voice or whatever,
Mhm.
right? There's something that there's some sort of symbolism with these platforms because it's some they they have these ritualistic things where they go out into platforms and it syndicates some sort of change. I still haven't figured it out. That's a really crazy one because again, there's not a lot of like meaty proof, and the stuff that's there has been censored a lot. You know. But when that first happened, did you see all those crazy TikToks of people being like, "Here's a portal," like watching like the
Yeah.
guys, and all that stuff is like gone. It's
Is
hard
it?
to find. Yeah,
Wow.
they just wipe stuff all the
What-
time.
I did a video on. I wonder if that video's still up. My old channel
Yeah, I
got
wanna check
hit with so
on it.
much shit. I need to check.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why. Maybe they just started like that campaign of, strikes on you for getting a little too close to the truth.
Yeah,
It's gonna be like an Eyes Wide Shut. You'll be walking down the street, there's gonna be some creepy ball guy following you.
You know
Don't
what?
say
If he
that.
does, too, you know what? You know how you get rid of a stalker? You stalk them back twice as hard.
I don't
Okay.
get
I'm going to
that-
make
that
it very
kind of
uncomfortable for him if that's what he wants to do.
But I do have a
But-
12 gauge, so there's that.
There you go.
We host these Twitter space rooms or whatever where we troll the FBI because they have to listen because Bob like lost his gun and like now he's being punished, so he's got to like transcribe all of our stuff or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So we just troll like the FBI by having like micro penis support groups and like just weird stuff and just talk about the FBI the whole time. Yeah.
Micro
and we-
penis support.
Because
group, that's funny.
if someone's gonna have to listen to it, we're gonna make it so uncomfortable. You can listen to me all you want to, guys, but you're not gonna always like it.
You know what? To kind of go back to the thing,
Correct.
the Travis Scott thing. His whole concert was ritualistic. Do you believe that that portals exist? Like you said, interdimensionality.
I think
The
that
theory-
they try to make portals exist. I don't think that they're able to do it. I think that they're
That's
trying
a
to
huge
interfere
theory.
with time. I think they're trying to like alternate things in time, and all they end up with is like some really silly pop culture Mandela effects.
You don't think they?
Yo, that would be hilarious, dude. Like they're trying to manipulate time itself, and all they get is the A miss and
They're
Bernstein
trying to make
Bears.
Hitler a twin.
That's
you
the
know?
only
Yeah.
thing they
And
accomplish.
instead, they get the Bernstein Bears is not pronounced the same.
Yeah, like the fucking what was the movie that not Shaft,
Shazam, or whatever it is that
yeah.
Sinbad wasn't in or whatever.
They're harnessing the energies of the universe, and they're like, oh well,
This is the
all
best
right.
we can do.
Damn it, Fruit of Loom doesn't have a cornucopia anymore. We screwed it up again, guys. Back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
I can't
Oh,
believe I had
is
to
that one
sacrifice those
too?
87 kids. It didn't work.
I don't know that one.
I didn't
Fruit
know
of
that
Loom.
one either.
Mhm.
I know Beast by Dre, where it just says that's different.
There's a lot of stuff. The Monopoly Man, like that one always creeps me out.
I don't know. That's so that one. So there was
He
no
doesn't have a monocle.
cornucopia.
He never had a monocle.
Wait,
Oh,
who did?
Scott.
The Monopoly
did
Man
have
never
one?
had a monocle.
Monopoly Man didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Did he not?
See, well, because the reason I ask, because I do believe that there's a spirit world. Like I believe they're talking to
100%.
something. Like I think they are succeeding at least of being able to contact like demons. That's
Wait,
my.
If you've seen any of
That's
these
so
pictures-
weird because wait a minute. There's a picture of a guy cosplaying as the Monopoly Man, and he's using a monocle. But in all the images of the Monopoly Man, there's no. That's so. Oh man, I get so freaked out by this shit.
Have you noticed when the Mandela effect started happening, though? They started happening right around 2012. July 4th, America's birthday, 2012 is when they discovered the Higgs boson God particle. Something changed.
That is
Oh right,
weird.
the God particle. Yeah, I remember that.
Isn't it interesting that it's on America's birthday, too?
Huh. Is
That
it
is weird.
July 4th?
Did you know that the
like,
day that CERN reopened was the same day that the Georgia Guidestones got bombed at 4 a.m., the exact same time that CERN
Holy shit.
reopened?
Is that just a coincidence or what does that mean?
There are no coincidences. Not when you're walking around with this crazy puzzle in your mind of all this other like all this stuff. I've been looking at this crap since I was 8 years old. I've got these stacks on stacks, racks on racks of notebooks of research and stuff. I mean, like since I was 8 years old, I'm 40. I'll be 41 like in a couple weeks. So that tells you how much time and energy. I mean, I became a freaking ghost hunter. You know, I've done research for all these podcasts. Like I'm obsessed, and I'm not getting paid for any of this either. Like I just, it's
Just
my
like
passion.
a personal, just a personal fascination.
So when I tell you that all this stuff, and I'm sitting there going, there are no coincidences. Trust me when I say everything is so connected. There's no way it can be coincidental. There's just too much weird stuff.
That's wild. All right, everybody. We are going to go migrate to Rumble only. So if you're on YouTube, go click over to Rumble. The link is in the chat. It's just one click, one easy little
Even
click
Cinch
over
and
to Rumble.
Dildo did it. If Cinch and Dildo do it, you can too. Apparently, Jake's having issues talking in the chat. I'm not sure why.
I don't know. I don't know enough about Rumble to say, but we just want to be able to be completely uncensored, because Papa Susan or whoever the new fucking person is, like I just,
Right.
I want to get unhinged with it. So we've reached an hour on YouTube. I'm going to stop this. I think I can do it from StreamYard. We're going to keep going over to Rumble. Just head right on over, and the show continues. And we also can now we don't have to worry about tiptoeing around. So see you over at Rumble.
I behaved. That was good, right? I did good.
You did great. You did great. Okay, I'm going to see if